Welcome to the Fighting on Film podcast, the podcast all about classic and obscure war movies, from the Normandy landings to the days of chivalry and swords. If it's been captured on film, we're going to try and cover it. I'm Robbie of RM Military History.
I'm Matthew Moss of Historical Firearms and the Armourer's Bench.
Hello, welcome back to Fighting on Film, the last Fighting on Film of 2023. Santa's been, hope you got everything you wanted, finished off those mince pies. You might be packing down the tree as we pour into your ears, for want of a better phrase.
I would have gone with speak there. That would have been less creepy, but let's
speak
continue.
would have been easier, but
Yeah.
I was on a roll. Anyway, so to see in the new year, you might have seen it on the socials. We asked our listeners about their best bits from 2023 and what they want to hear in the new year as Fighting on Film enters its fourth year.
Fourth year.
I know.
Fourth year.
Can you
Wow.
believe it? Absolutely amazing. You'd have been in London. All the slang's coming out.
Oh, it's coming out.
I was away for Christmas. Anyway, kicking off with our gallant Patreons, keeping the lights on here at Fighting on Film HQ. If you want to join the Patreon,
Thank you.
yes, thank you very much. You can do so for as little as $2.50 per month. We love each and every one of you. And our first piece of mail from the mailbag comes from Paul Burns. He says, really enjoyed the Napoleon episode with the guests. When you do this type of episode, are there any questions that the guests refuse to answer? And would love to see a breakdown of Taps next year. As a teenager, I love the film. Recently rewatched it, and I'm not too sure about it now. Matt, have you ever had any things a guest won't answer?
No, and we were a little bit concerned about that with the Napoleon special because obviously we didn't like the film. And then when we came to it, and then because we'd organised the guests, we'd approached guests to come on and chat with us before we saw the film. As
like a month in advance or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, you've got to arrange these things in advance to give people time to sort organize and
of course
get a moment to actually do an hour-long chat with someone around the release of a major film that you've been involved in. So we had to approach people a couple of weeks to maybe a month beforehand, and I approached Louis Chevalier. And he was kind enough to say yes, and very excited to chat to him. And I turned to Rob in the cinema. I was like, "This is going to be a bit awkward. Like, I didn't enjoy that." And
I know.
There was parts of it that I appreciated, and I'm looking forward to seeing whatever the 4-hour version of it is. Because some of the recent photographs that got released, like set photographs, show more characters being fleshed out and stuff that went in the film. Like some of the marshals, so that might be interesting. Although I don't think it'll change my general opinion of the film, but we'll see.
No.
But getting back to the question, I was like, this is going to be difficult. But when I got down to it and I sort of pulled the questions together, it's just getting his opinion on the making of the film and what the process was. It wasn't about asking someone why you didn't do this or why you didn't do that. Or that sort of question, because that doesn't get the answer that you want, because you need to approach an interview in a way that is conducive to getting some well thought out replies and response. So I was worried about it, but in the end, that wasn't an issue in that interview. Wasn't an issue for you with Paul either.
No, not really. I mean, because every time sort of unveiling the curtain a little bit of how we do our sort of guest episodes. Obviously, you try and build up a rapport with the guest beforehand, and usually you iron out those kinks of what you are going to ask and what you're not going to ask before you do the interviews. That's quite common with every interviewer, I guess. So the interviewee is quite equipped with what we're going to be talking about beforehand.
Yeah, sometimes people want some questions in advance.
Yeah.
Some people are happy with off the cuff. We've never really had a guest that has refused to answer a question.
No, I don't think we have.
We've had people that have said, I prefer to speak about this rather than that, and that's fine. But nothing, there's never been an awkward moment, especially not during a recording.
No, I don't think so. No, maybe not. Anyway, moving on. And Taps.
Good question,
I watched. Yeah, very good question, Paul. Thank you. Taps. We'll definitely get round to that one. That's that Tom Cruise, isn't it? An early one.
That's Tom Cruise, on an M60 at the end of the film.
I saw the trailer recently. I think we'll do that one. Or
It's
Endeavour.
beautiful, man. Yeah.
We'll add it to the fourth
It would
list.
definitely be one for us at some point, maybe next
Definitely
year.
hits
Yeah,
the
a bit
criteria.
different from
Yeah.
normal sort of war movies,
Yeah.
obviously.
But it still counts. It's still in there.
Mhm.
So the next one from the mailbag comes from Jamie D. He goes with, "Hey all, I thoroughly enjoyed the podcast this year. Some awesome reviews. Thank you very much, Jamie. Thank you. Yeah, some films for 2024: Appointment in London, The Way to the
Mhm.
Stars, Von Ryan's Express, and Zero Dark 30. I'm sure we can fit a few of those in. Absolutely adore Appointment
A few
to
of those are
London.
already on the list. Like
They are.
and in
Yeah.
fact, most of those are already on the list, and
I
that
mean, a
list
lot of them
continues to
we
grow.
should have done by now, really.
Well, this is it. Like, there's films that we
It's the
absolutely
way.
adore,
Mm.
and films that we're desperate to
Yeah.
tackle, and we
Yeah.
just something
I mean,
else comes along, and we don't quite get to it, and it gets
exactly.
pushed
I mean,
back. And
yeah, with Appointment in London, I mean, Matt won't mind me saying now, we were quite deep in planning a cinema evening in
Yeah.
Liverpool at mid June, July last year. And we just couldn't get the finances right for our end and for the consumer end. Because we would have ended up having to charge way more than we thought would be fair.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it affordable.
Yeah, to come and see. We were going to do a double bill of Appointment in London and The Cruel Sea because they were in their 70th year anniversaries.
Mm.
So we thought we were going to do that. However, there's rumblings that we might be able to do something this year with a film event. So do keep
Fingers
your
crossed.
tabs on the socials. We really hope to bring you something like that soon because we think that's the next step of the pod. Is to do our own movie themed event. And a question from Jamie goes with which films that haven't featured on the pod yet are you most looking forward to reviewing in future pods? Keep up the good work. Merry Christmas and thank you. All the best, Jamie.
You go first.
A film I just mentioned it, Cruel Sea. Really,
Mhm.
I can't wait to do Cruel Sea, but I want to do it in the right way. So
Yeah.
I either want to get a really good guest, or I want to do an episode where we've just seen it and we're recording our thoughts like live. That's
Yeah.
what I really want to do with the Cruel Sea.
Yeah. Oh God, there's so many. I mean, if I look at that list, there's a dozen things I'd love to do. I'd like to do this year. Every year for the last 3 years, we've been meaning to do April 4th, which is
Yes.
the Danish movie
Yeah.
about the platoon of bicycle troops during the German invasion in 1940. And we've never gotten to it. We always forget,
haven't.
or we always end up having to cover a couple of other things at that point in the year. So it'd be nice to do that around April 4th this year.
Agreed. I want to do The Unknown Soldier, that Finnish movie.
Yeah, that would be
we were
great.
going to we were going to do that. We were kindly given a screener by a streaming company. I won't say their name. However, we were trying to get a sort of like branding deal from them, and it just didn't quite happen. So that might happen in the future. So keep your eyes peeled on that one, or we'll just review it because we like it.
Yeah, I mean those Finnish movies look great. Like there's a couple of versions of Unknown Soldier now, and there's a load of Polish movies I really want to do.
Yeah.
There's some Indonesian movies that look really interesting. I literally last night spotted on Amazon. Other streaming platforms are available. That there's a kind of Behind Enemy Lines, but it's set during the fall of Singapore, and it's an Australian pilot.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that looks good. That sounds good.
That does sound like a great premise, doesn't it?
Sounds
so
good.
There's countless. Honestly, I think
there is.
We're going to have a production meeting in the next week or two to nail down some of 2024, and we'll probably try and nail down some of the key movies that we want to really hit this year, I think.
For sure. Yeah, without a doubt. Now, next up, we have David Lawton. He says, "Hi, gang. Awesome year from you guys to keep all of us entertained. Love to hear your thoughts on 24 on Cross of Iron, Tobruk, 67 or 2008 versions, The Desert Rats." And he also says, "Be good to hear about a TV series. So maybe pick an episode to review, but talk about the series as a whole. Like, I've never seen Combat and want to know more." Combat is definitely one we are going to do.
Yeah, it is. There's a couple of TV shows I like to do, like Generation War. there's
Generation
there's
Kill
quite
on top of that.
yeah, exactly. Generation Kill as well, absolutely. Um, Tobruk 2008 is a really cool Czech movie.
Yes.
And then Desert Rats and Tobruk, the 60s version, definitely they're already on the list.
Yeah. Yeah. And we
it's
will be
again,
doing,
we need to get to them.
and we will be doing more TV series in 24. Have no fears. And he also adds, also keep up those spot on impressions coming, Rob. Highlight of most of my commutes to work. Can't wait for another year. Well, thanks very much. At least someone enjoys them.
Now we know. You've encouraged him now. Damn.
Oh no, I have to pick some good ones out. Anyway, Brian Williams says films for 24: Play Dirty, The Devil's Brigade, Tobruk again, 1967, and Too Late the Hero. Well, for Too Late the Hero, I have a guest lined up for that in the new year, so look out for that when it drops. I won't say who they are yet, but it'll be a good one. Play Dirty, definitely do that one. That's a interesting one. Don't think it quite nails what it wants to do, but it's 60% a good film, 40% just wandering around the desert doing FA. I think. But it's a Kane
Some
movie,
film
so
like
that
yeah.
elevates it. And Devil's Brigade's another interesting one, isn't it?
Similar premise.
Yeah, I know a guest or two we could have for that one as well. Yeah,
Yeah. No, there's some really good ones there, and there's loads of classics we haven't covered because that's generally our MO, isn't it?
it
We
is.
we do some classics, then we try and do some that just kind of catch us, or some that are brand new. There's one film I'd like to do coming up is the Nicholas Whitten biopic with Anthony Hopkins,
That looks incredible.
which looks
Yeah,
really good. Coming
yeah.
off that amazing viral clip of him, the BBC put out
This
a
is
couple
your
of years
life.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing that something like that could spare on a film. I think that's
Well,
one of the
it's
more
prime Oscar
interesting.
bait, isn't it?
Oh,
Hopkins
totally.
is
Yeah,
every couple of years. Hopkins
he's got a
appears in
Freud
Oscar
film
bait.
coming out too with Matthew Good.
Oof. That could be very
Yeah,
good.
where he plays
Yeah.
Freud. So got some interesting stuff coming
Ooh.
up in 24.
Interesting. Yeah. So now we have the comments for the mailbag from X, formerly known as Twitter. I think we're still calling it Twitter, aren't we? Yeah, I think we are.
I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, so Matthew Moss starts with whose fault was Operation Delta Force December? I will say guilty. Well, actually,
Yeah.
no. Actually, no. The line on it is me and Matt had a few cans after an episode, and we just got chatting, and I was like, "Oh, I've got this DVD of these Delta Force movies. Why don't we do those?" And then we found the director, Sam Furstenberg, of the first one,
Yep.
and we sort of just went from there, really, didn't we?
We
I
we
think.
lined up a guest, and then we realized the rest of the franchise was not good. Which is
Yeah.
classic.
Classic Foff. Classic Foff.
Yeah, but it's 90% Rob's fault, 10% my fault for agreeing to do it and allowing it to
Encouraging
go on,
me.
and then becoming so bloody minded that I've demanded that we finish the damn thing and we do 4 and 5 after this.
Yeah, which will be truncated reviews. We're not going into any depth with them.
That's
Gosh, I
what
think
Rob thinks.
me and Matt's head would explode. Anyway, yeah, no, it was my fault. And I think in terms of theme months of 24, I think we're gonna bring back Mercenary Month 3 for a
Perennial
third
favorite.
because people enjoy that. We'll do that one.
What
And then
about
I think
US SEAL September?
no, never. Never. And then I think Christmas 24 will be all the like military Christmas movies we've not done. So like Joix Noel,
You'd be one of those, yeah. Yeah, a couple of those.
A Midnight Clear, that's Bastone. Sorry,
Bulge.
Bat Bulge movie. Yeah.
Mm.
So we'll do those. Anyway, David McNay goes with when are you doing Anzacs?
Which one? I mean, the recent one was good, and
The
I
recent
think
one
he
was good.
wants the 80s one.
He wants the
He
80s one. We
mentions.
do that one as well.
I mean,
Yeah,
why
we'll do
not?
those. They're fab.
Yeah, we've talked about Anzac. We've done an Anzac month.
We did an Anzac month. We just didn't do Anzacs.
Yeah, we did.
We ran out of weeks.
Light Horseman and a
Ran
couple
out
of
of
others. We actually
Wednesdays.
didn't do a Gallipoli movie
No,
in
we
Anzac
didn't.
month.
Well, we can do it again, didn't we? Because that month was difficult again. This is another behind the scenes thing. We had a lot of people lined up to come on, because of scheduling, it didn't happen. So when you have a guest and you pigeonhole, right, this week is for this, and then the person comes like 3-4 days before the recording and goes, "Oh, I can't do it. Really, really sorry." You have to scramble and change it around. And you don't want to do the movie you said you were going to do because you don't want to lose that guest for a potential future episode. So it's sometimes it's just scheduling that gets in the way there. It's not
And
like
sometimes we don't want to do a movie because we want to get a good guest on for it.
We want to give it its flowers,
Yeah.
like we don't want to just have me and Matt go, "This is great." We want someone else to come on and go, "Actually, no, this is why it's great."
Yeah. Sometimes there's people that we think can add to what we're going to discuss
pump it
about
up
the
a
movie.
bit.
Yeah, just add to the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So Seri Thomas says 13 hours, a Michael Bay film that doesn't suck, in my opinion. Surely there's enough out there for a private military contractors month.
There is definitely.
I mean, there actually is. Yeah, you could do was that show? Was it Mark of Cain? The 2008,
Yeah, I think so.
2007 British the drama with Stephen Graham in it, and he gets a PMC after. Do you remember that?
Yeah, is that the Iraq one?
The Iraq one, and he's
With
having a
is that one with Nesbitt as well?
yeah, and the warrior turns his gun on him, and he's like, "Don't shoot me, I'm from Liverpool."
That's
In
right.
it.
Yeah.
That was really good. We could do that. That'd be very good to do. I've enjoyed that series. But 13 hours. Me and Matt enjoy that. That'll definitely
We've
come on.
had that on the Patreon pick. So if you're unfamiliar, every month we ask our fabulous patrons to pick from 4 options for a movie that we're going to cover.
Yeah,
and we've put 13 hours up there a couple of times. Definitely,
I'm sure it'll win eventually. It'll be like Hornblower,
I mean,
and it'll
Hornblower
just get
did,
its way on. Yeah, exactly. So up next we have Elizabeth VSTX. She says more movies that are not from Hollywood, like Southeast Asia or Europe.
100%.
I think Matt just mentioned we definitely do more of those. There's so many out there. I mean, in terms of Europe, there's that Convoy movie that just came out.
Yeah, Convoy, Narvik.
Yeah, Narvik.
Those the Finnish
Dutch
movies
one.
you mentioned.
Do that Dutch one.
Yeah, the Dutch one. We need to do the Mine Clearance Dutch movie.
Yes.
What's it called?
Oh, you have a guest lined up potentially for the movie about.
Yeah. I approached some of the guys that made a film about Gurkhas in Malaya.
Malaya. That was it. That was it.
And we almost had that lined up for last year, but they were waiting on premiere dates and such. Need to get back in touch with them. There's also that movie about the Malaysian troops in Mogadishu.
That's what. Yes, down. Do that one definitely.
Paul worked on.
Yes, Paul Biddish.
Great to get him on for that one.
He did say he'd be up for it.
Yeah, I remember you saying. So there's loads of really great non-English language movies that we definitely need to cover. There's an Indian movie also that came out just a couple of months ago about the Indo-Pakistan conflict, about a Indian cavalry unit in BTRs, I think it was.
I see.
That looks really quite well made. And there's a load of Indian films that we could cover as well. So there's a load.
Of course,
Korean movies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as we always say behind the scenes, we say have no fears. We've got movies for years. We genuinely have. There's 54 weeks in a year. That's 54 Wednesdays. And there's more than 54 films out there. Anyway, up next, Simon Whippet says, will you be doing Excalibur or the Errol Robin Hood? Or will there be a Hood month? More Dale Dye if possible, or Chuck Norris? I mean,
definitely more Dale Dye.
If we get Dale, we'll have him on again. We'd love to.
Absolutely.
I'd love to.
Just to maybe cover. Maybe we should ask him on to do a Desert Island Discs sort of episode where he talks about his favorite war movie that he is in.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be very good. Yeah.
It'd be nice to have him join us for Masters of the Air as well, because he worked on that.
Yep.
And shared a little bit of insight when he came on. So if you haven't listened to that episode where we chatted with Dale, definitely check that one out. A Chuck Norris month. We could do a Chuck Norris month. I mean, we've talked about Invasion USA and
Delta Force, the good one.
Delta Force, obviously. Yeah, the good one. So there's definitely scope for some Chuck, I think.
I mean, long overdue, some Chuck, aren't we? Really?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Also overdue a bit more chivalry and swords.
Yeah,
Mentioning
as
Beryl there.
someone mentions that coming up,
Yeah,
actually. Yep.
he
Then
could
we
do a
have.
Robin Hood month, and it
He
struck me
could.
the other day that there's never really been a Robin Hood movie that's actually attempts to be period accurate. Because I rewatched the Kevin Costner one the other day,
Yeah.
and there's Celts in it, and I'm like, where did they come from?
You
Like,
know it's
that,
true.
yeah, that's just
Yeah.
yeah. And then there's that terrible Taron Egerton one
Oh yeah.
where he
I've got
parkours everywhere.
experience of Robin Hood because I played the Sheriff of Nottingham in a year 6 production of
Oh
Robin
wow,
Hood.
nice.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can get Kevin Costner on, then you two can just vibe over
Could you
that. Then
imagine? Could you imagine? I know exactly what you're going through, Kev. Exactly, I've been there, mate. Down primary school in Kent, 2002. I was there, mate, or whenever it was. Anyway, that'd be wild. Um, so next we have Dominic Suave.
definitely need more Flynn anyway, even if it's
We do
not
need more
Robin
Flynn. We
Hood.
do. We do. Dominic Suave says an episode on Tunes of Glory, please. Happy to assist. Yep. Hear you loud
Mm-hmm.
and clear. Tunes of Glory. Definitely got to be on the pod at some point. It's one of the movies that people always mention.
Yeah,
Dave
interesting
Bowen.
post-war movie.
Yes, very. Yeah, there's not many of them. Carrington VC is another one in the
Mm,
post-war vein.
mm.
We definitely could do. So we need more Niven on the show.
We do need more
We need
Niven.
more Niven. Yeah. I watched Matter of Life and Death over Christmas. It's just fantastic, isn't it? It's just like it's possibly the greatest British film ever made. Like, well, in terms of post-war cinema, it's up there. You've got to make a statement for it. So I
Yeah,
think
no, that's
it's
fair. That's fair.
I think it's the best Powell and Pressburger film. Put it that
Ooh,
way.
okay,
Yeah, I really
okay.
do. Um, Things it's doing in like 46, just things you don't get in British cinema. Like, in the way it's filmed,
Yeah.
it's just one of the classics, isn't it? So Dave Bowen goes with some occasional Silvery and Swords, please. World War II Eastern Front, Enemy at the Gates, Downfall, Generation War, Come and See, Cross of Iron, miniseries Anzacs, 80s version,
Mm-hmm.
Generation Kill, Das
I
Boot
knew someone had
original.
mentioned the 80s version of Anzacs.
Yeah,
I knew
yeah,
I'd read it somewhere.
exactly. Yeah, Generation Kill, Das Boot, the original one, and Tour
Mhm.
of Duty.
Did the series too. Series isn't bad.
The series isn't shocking. No, Waterloo 1970 for a decent
Yeah.
Napoleon movie, and he just puts Vietnam films. I'm sure we could do all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone.
There's a couple of
No,
big ones we still
definitely.
haven't done.
Yeah,
Still chasing Matthew Modine to come on.
we really are.
Yeah,
We've gotten so. Just to say quickly, we've gotten so close, and I will
yeah,
chase that up again and again.
yeah.
I got damn close last year. Matt
We
will
did.
attest. I got
Yeah.
darn close.
Yep.
But we'll have to keep chasing Matthew Modine because I'm sure it would just be an amazing, amazing episode. Waterloo 1970, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
We need it. Everyone needs a post-Napoleon palate cleanser when you actually see a battle done well. Um, and Tour of Duty, yeah, I'll attest to that. We need to do it. So that was the mailbag. So next, I think my own mailbag. Matt,
Mm.
your best bits from 23, and what do you want to cover in 2024?
It's from 23. That's tricky. It's been
This
a
is
good
where
year.
I check if he's written notes.
You know what? We talked about Dale already, but Dale was incredible.
What a highlight.
That was a real highlight. Um, I enjoyed doing some of the other movies that we've done, and for 24,
Wow. That was a lovely blanket there. It was a lovely blanket statement. They're like a politician, Matthew. Yes, I definitely enjoyed doing some of those movies at some of the time in
it has indeed
2023.
been a podcast that has been made in the year
I
2023.
feel like I'm like Robbie Maguire from the Hinchley Independent newspaper. Can I just get a quote, please? You're desperately trying to get off stage, you know.
Oh my god. It's tricky. It's like picking your favorite child. Honestly,
It's true. Yeah, I know.
I can't say I've enjoyed Operation Delta Force December.
I don't think anyone has.
I don't know if anyone
I've looked
has.
at the metrics. It's the proof's in the pudding.
I enjoyed doing The Great Escaper.
That was fab. It was so good. Yeah. Thanks to British Pathé for that. Just
Yes,
put it out there.
absolutely. I also enjoyed Zissou, obviously, because we went to see it.
Yeah. Thanks
in
for
the
Sony
cinema.
Pictures releasing for that one. Yeah.
So that was great. I spotted the other day that there's a Russian version of that similar vein.
Oh,
So how we got the German version with Blood and Gold. Quite like
Yes.
that film. Rob didn't like it as
Yeah.
much.
Nah.
Zissou, and then there's a movie called Red Ghost.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's similar. Yeah.
Very similar vein. Very similar vein. We had James on for Dam Busters. That was
We
great.
did. That was fun. And Al.
And
James
Hal,
and
Al
Al.
was there.
That was a cracker. That was so good.
Ripping the shit out of Flyboys. That was good.
That was funny. Yeah. That's a Wind Talkers-esque takedown, that one.
It was.
It was.
We finally did The Professionals, which I love that film. Well, we did Where Eagles Dare, but we did that at the very end of 22.
We did. It feels like this year.
It does feel like this year.
I think it's because you watched it again at Christmas.
It did, yeah. I did watch it. I did live tweet on the X, the Twitter.
There's some great barbs.
We did the very first Falklands movie, Silent Heroes.
Yeah, we did. Oh, that was a wild ride, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Ooh. No, we won't talk about that one again. Any films you really want to do in 24?
I'm looking forward to doing Masters of the Air.
Mm-hmm.
More on that soon.
Much more on that soon. Yep.
I'm looking forward. I'm hoping the Don McCullough biopic goes into production and we get that tail end of this year, but it's been quiet, so I don't know.
I think COVID might have killed that one.
I hope not. I'm looking.
I've heard.
Maybe perhaps when Lee comes out, because I'm looking forward to that too.
Yep.
That might spark up a bit more interest and get
Where Lee's concerned, I'm in with Sky Pictures, shall I say? So we're on the list for that one when it comes out. The people really lovely, and they're going to keep
let
me in
us
the loop.
watch the film.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. No, they're lovely. They said no when it comes out. I thought it was going to be released for Oscar contention, but maybe not.
Perhaps it'll be Oscar contention for next year. Maybe they'll hold it a little bit.
They might have pushed it back, but they had previews at Cannes.
They did.
Or Tribeca, one of them. Yeah.
It was Cannes.
It's going to be interesting. Just a war correspondent movie is something we've not had for a while. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I love Kate Winslet, so it's match made in heaven for me.
It should be great in it. It should be great. I mean...
So she's got the HBO series coming out, the Regime one, where she plays that dictator.
Yeah, that actually looks really interesting as well.
I'm really looking forward to that one. So maybe they might release it just before, to sort of like keep her in there.
That's a good shout. That is a fair shout. Hello there. Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to let you know that you can now join our supporting cast over on Patreon. As thanks for your support, you'll be able to help us pick films, submit questions for guests, have first pick on brand new and exclusive merch, and much more. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show. What about you, Rob? What are you looking forward to? And what have you liked from this year?
Yes, so I'll start with that.
Operation
so this year,
Delta Force 2
withstanding
and 3.
And 4 and 5. So my best bits was Dal Dyer, just because it was amazing getting the email through saying he would do it. Because we were so unsure. Actually, we were in the BFI at the time. Actually, I probably mentioned it to people. I was looking at the fancy DVDs. I think I showed Matt a copy of The Train, and I was like, "Oh, look, restoration of The Train. How cool does that look?" And Matt just put his arm around my shoulder and went, "We've got Dale," and I nearly dropped the Blu-ray. It was so great. Just sort of just how that interview went. We didn't give him any questions beforehand. He didn't want them. It really threw him in at the deep end, and it's just every single question was just an amazing anecdote or an amazing curtain opening on your favorite movies. Like it was incredible, and he was so kind to us, and agreed he'd come back on in the future if he could. So it was just an amazing experience. I really loved talking with Delta Force December. I did really love talking to Sam Furstenberg, just because.
His enthusiasm was great.
Exactly. He was so
enthusiastic. It's the best of the bunch. Like it is honestly like they went the parabolic arc we were talking about last week it happened. Last episode did not occur.
How those movies get made and his career and everything else. It was just so interesting to hear. And then coming off the back of that, the director, Tom Petch for The Patrol,
Yeah.
like that was another just absolutely incredible, like learning of how film's amazing and what goes into a low budget British movie, but what you get out of it is just so great. And just talking to a director about their own movie and the way that we do it and how we review our films, like it's just so enriching, and I absolutely loved it. And thank you to all those people for coming on. Really made my year. And for 2024, Masters of the Air, it's coming hot. Stay tuned on the pod
26th.
for something like that. Stay
Mm.
tuned on the pod for more about that. We will share it when we can. Lee, aforementioned, really looking forward to that one. Hope it comes out in 24, mainly because we're going to get to see it early and review it, I hope. So,
Yeah.
really looking forward to that.
Big one.
Ungentlemanly Warfare coming out.
Yeah.
Paul Biddis, again, a military advisor. I've talked to him about it briefly. Nothing, not breaking any, NDAs or anything, but apparently, could be a fun one. If you like Shane Ritchie, I think we're going to enjoy it. I'm hoping.
I'm assuming it's in the vein of like the Sherlock Holmes movies, and if so,
I hope so. I'd like that.
Fine.
I want a little bit of a snatchy type war film. I think we're overdue a more light-hearted take on something. I think there's a way you can do it that maybe only Guy Ritchie can. Because when he's on his A game, like The Gentleman, if it's like in the vein of that, but a Second World War film, be really
not the
up
Covenant,
for that.
but yeah.
You know what I mean, though. Not studio work, Ritchie, but your own baby. Completely different beast. And then, as I said earlier in the show, I'm really hoping to do something with Tour of Duty. And I think if I can get the guests on that I want to get, it could be a great episode because it's a great series. I think in America it's held quite well, but over here, I think if you watched it at the time, you love it, but you might not necessarily have seen it. Because I remember watching repeats of it on Motors for Men. Do you remember that channel?
Oh my God, yeah. Wasn't that?
Yeah.
Was that before or after it became Bravo?
Oh, I can't remember.
I swear to God, it was one of those channels that changed its name like 3 times, but it was always like men.
4 o'clock and 5 o'clock.
Channel for men.
Yeah, so
fellas, cars, war, men.
It was one of them channels, wasn't it? So I got a digital TV when I was younger for my 11th, 10th birthday.
Ooh,
and Movies for Men was one of the digi channels you get, obviously free. So every school, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock after school, they'd do a Tour of Duty repeat. So I watch it every week religiously, every day after school. It became my little, right, I get to the end of the day, no matter what's gone on, double maths, whatever, I can watch Tour of Duty.
Get Movies for Men on.
Yeah, that was me.
Don't talk to me, Mum. I'm watching Movies for Men.
Yeah. Oh no, are they going to destroy the MVA base and get away? Of course they are. They do it every week. But it was it was great. It's great telly. And it remains it. I love it. I was hoping to get the box set for Christmas, but I didn't. Santa obviously didn't heed my calls. Anyway, but that was the mailbag for 2024. Thanks to everyone who put their suggestions in. There's plenty of us to take away into our 24 production meeting. I'm sure we can wheel some of those movies into the show next year. And obviously keep your eyes peeled for any new announcements. They'll be on the socials. When we know, you'll know.
Hello, I'm Al Murray, and you're listening to Fighting on Film, the world's #1 war film podcast.
So, we're going to do the roundup of Delta Force 4 and 5 a little bit differently. If you're fans of the YouTube channel Red Letter Media, you might know they do a show called Best of the Worst, where they take movies that aren't very good and then they sit on a round table.
We're going to do Worst of the Worst.
Worst of the Worst. So Matt, and they pick someone out of their cast of people, and they get them to talk about a movie. So Matt, this week you're talking about Delta Force 4 and I'll talk about Delta Force 5. So give us your truncated thoughts on Delta Force 4 for whoever cares.
Okay, right. Well, I'll go to the end and I'll come back to the beginning. So I watched this. I watched it with my mum.
The end of the sorry.
I watched the film with my mum, and it's her birthday today.
God bless Sue.
Recording, and I turned to her at the end of the film and I said, "What was your take on the film? I'll quote you in the episode when we review it." And she just looked me in the eye and she said, "That was shite." Very unbelievable.
Oh gosh, God bless that woman.
And you know what? Absolutely concur with her. On the money.
That was
On
a
the money.
commode level take from Sue. That was
Right.
amazing.
Thinking about setting her up with her own podcast, actually.
Barry Norman could not have done better.
No. So, Operation Delta Force 4, I've forgotten the actual title of the film. I think is it Real Danger, Real Target? Anyway. Essentially, a disenfranchised seismologist, scientist guy,
Seismologist, yeah. The bigger fire, like whatever, you know what I mean?
Basically decides that he's gonna drill into the Earth's core and then fire a nuclear missile into it. For some reason,
because there was an 80s secret weapons program about earthquakes.
Yeah, and he's going to cause some earthquakes and stuff. And every time that kind of came on screen and they tried to explain it, all I could think of was Austin Powers.
Yeah,
and the fact that the Austin Powers drill missile looked more believable than what was shown in Operation Delta Force 4. Just like,
yeah,
why are we doing this anyway? So Rob was trying to get out of doing this. He kept saying to me, "This looks atrocious. We can't do this."
I watched it like 23rd of December or something. Yeah,
and you kept saying we can't do this. This is terrible. I don't want to do it. And I said, Rob, we've come this far. You've made us do this, and by God, we are finishing what we started.
Robbie, you gotta keep the fear.
Yeah, right. The fear is your armor. It keeps us alive.
It's a quote from the film, everyone. If you didn't know,
yeah, it is. If you haven't seen it,
don't worry.
You can watch it if you need to.
Yeah,
Christ.
If you got a lobotomy spare, you can watch it.
So as I said to Rob, we need to do it because I watched it before he did, and I said, "There's actually consequences to the film."
Yeah.
Because one of the things we said reviewing number 3, Operation Delta Force 3, Operation Delta Force Harder,
clear target. Actually, thank you.
Oh well, you remember that one?
Remember that one? Yeah. Deep Fault is number 4.
Thank you. That makes sense, doesn't it? With the earthquake bomb and stuff, that makes complete sense. Well done to them.
Like a 5-year-old wrote the script.
It's going to be an earthquake bomb. It's going to shake the ground and make everyone upset.
The seismologist man's dead angry at the Pentagon, and there's going to put a bomb in the drill, and it's going to cause earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff.
Everyone's drinks will spill, and they'll all be really angry.
My daiquiri, no.
Come on. Aye.
So, like we said in when we reviewed number 3, Clear Target or whatever the fuck it was,
Matt's corpsing himself here.
Can't even do it, man. We said there was no consequences to any of this, and no one dies, and we don't really care because the characters are being played by multiple different actors and so on. Anyway, long story short, wonderfully, Captain Skip Lang in number 4 is played by the chap who played Mac in the previous film, and he's even worse than the previous Skip Lang.
Because no one's got any characterization to go on because they've been played by 3 people.
No,
you know, I do feel for the actors in these a lot.
Yeah, totally. They're given terrible material,
given a rum deal.
To work with. Yeah. But most of the team dies in Operation Delta Force 4.
They do.
And I was actually shocked. None of the deaths are particularly good.
No.
Captain Skip Lang is killed holding up a man who's dangling over what looks like a plywood missile.
It is. It really is.
And he's like, he's been shot already, and he's struggling to hold up.
Yeah.
One of the other Delta Force men.
It's the baddie from Delta Force 1 that get him back to play Delta Force operator.
That's right. And he's dangling and he's shouting at Mac. Captain Skip Lang. and he has this weird flashback to a child we've never seen or never heard of, and then he dies.
Yeah.
And I'm just sat there thinking, oh,
And
Dale
it's like,
Dye's character's
can-
going to be dead sad now. Both his sons are dead
Yeah, I
because
know.
I've seen all
Yeah,
four of these fucking movies, and I'm like,
exactly.
I've got more idea of what's going on. The fucking actors doing.
There's no continuity. Like the problem is with 4. Obviously, like if you've watched them all to that point, you're emotionally checked out by 2 because they've changed so many people. So it's like all these things that are happening. Like it proves my theory of they clearly wanted to have the same actors all the way through.
Yeah.
But they lose Jeff Fahey in 1 and they can't get him back. So it doesn't work.
The new Mac is terrible as well. Like
It's not great.
his acting is absolutely atrocious. The others
Yeah.
aren't too bad, but he's just like can't know. I mean,
No,
there's
he's
some
not.
nice bits where they reload and check their weapons are safe.
Some decent bits there.
There's some
yeah.
decent weapons handling, and the sound design isn't as bad as 3.
No.
It's filmed in the Balkans, I think, or it's set
Yeah.
in the Balkans, I should
Yeah.
say. It was filmed in Eastern Europe, and there's a bit where there's a ludicrous moment with I think it's New Mac, and he has his Siege of Jadotville sniper moment with the Bren, where
He does.
he takes his AKMS folding stock, just like bog standard AK, and he unfolds his stock, and he aims ever so like in slow motion at the opening sequence baddie who always dies.
Yep.
And unnecessarily shoots him, according to Captain Skip Lang. He's like, "Why did you shoot that man? His weapon wasn't loaded." Like, Captain Skip Lang, that man had just fired at you for half an hour.
Rules of engagement, and you know it. Like
It's
he would have
totally
killed
legitimate to fire at that man. Like, come
it's
on.
fine. Yeah, you're in a
The way he
battle.
solemnly moves is like the selector to single as well.
It's
like
cool.
it's accurizing the AK.
It's like
and he wraps his sling around his arm for what looks to be a 12-yard shot.
He just wants to make sure he's like Sean Connery in the League of Fantastic Gentlemen, or whatever that movie was called, Extraordinary Gentlemen. Why use
At least that
10
shot was
bullets
impressive.
when 1 will do? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then he salutes him. Salutes the dead general that's just been shooting at them and holding hostages. I'm like, what are you doing, Captain Skip Lang?
Yeah. And then he gets killed.
And there's a whole moment where he's like, why are you being so weird lately, Mac? And he's like, I've lost the fear, Captain Skip Lang.
Yeah.
And they're playing squash. They're playing squash.
The most aggressive squash game I've ever seen.
It's like they've put 2 people that have never seen a squash game or never played squash into a squash court, and someone's told them how to do it, and then given them dialogue to read while they're doing it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Fear is your armor, Mac. Keeps us alive." I delivered that far better than he did, actually.
You did.
Yeah, I know.
And the Grammy goes
you were
to...
that stunned. You were that stunned. You were
and
like,
the
wow.
Emmy goes to Matthew Moss.
We've also got like the slowest ski chase ever. It's like a guy randomly falls off a skidoo.
It is so James Bond.
Oh god. There's a guy randomly falls off a skidoo before Captain Skip Lang fires at him.
The Soviet or Russian baddies have like lemon coloured ski suits, and I could was just thinking about that Alan Partridge James Bond thing. I couldn't get it out of my head. And then there's a bit where one of them nearly runs over an extra in the skidoo.
Yeah. And the skidoos are going. I think they've clearly been capped by this ski resort
an hour or
like
something. Yeah. It's so bad. It's so bad.
You could have sped that up and it would have looked a slight bit better, but no.
Shit, man. Like,
what about the tram? What about the tram scene though, where the tram skids for like 15 minutes?
Yeah, they blow a tram up and it just goes skids on its back for like ever.
And they're like popped out the top firing at people. I'm like, lads, no.
And you can I paused it and you can see the rigging of everyone inside. Like it was just interesting to see how that happened. It like a bar and they were all on like rigs. It looked safe.
There's a considerable amount of it being based around the fact that there's earthquakes and stuff. And I really loved the shot of, I think it was supposed to be like LA, where it was just someone had obviously just been sent out with a camera and told to like film a freeway, and then they just shook the camera.
That looked decent. Yeah.
and then they put some stock audio stuff
But
over it, and
you're missing the greatest part of Delta Force 4,
I
the-
might go carry on.
the bullet microphone.
Oh no, I was getting there, but
Were
yeah,
you getting there,
that is
were you?
that I
If I-
agree.
sorry if I jumped the gun.
120%. That was the finest
That's the
part of the
highlight.
franchise.
We're not doing an alley tally this week, but that's the alley tally this
If
week.
if we just separate Sam Furstenberg's film from the rest of the franchise,
Yeah.
that single scene was the finest part of the franchise of 2
Okay.
to 5.
Post 1, yes.
Post 1. So there's a seismologist, another not the rogue seismologist, a seismologist that worked formerly with the seismologist who goes rogue and steals a nuclear. How does a seismologist get access to a nuclear weapon?
They just do in Delta Force.
They do. Anyway, so he's at the press conference and he's about to tip the lid on evil seismologist, and
Oh yeah.
he's there at the lectern and he's giving the press conference, and there's some people looking interested, acting and stuff, being press people, and then he's shot in the face by a bullet that was hidden by the microphone.
It's amazing.
It's just perfect.
It's the most brutal part of that movie.
It is.
It is
and
actually
I love
shocking.
The premise. I actually love that premise. That is whoever thought that was
It's
having
good.
a good day.
It's good practical effects.
That's
as
not
well.
how bullets work when they aren't in a barrel, but I appreciate the effort that they've tried to make
It's
and
cool.
do something new and novel.
Well, you missed the section where they were milling out a barrel of a Glock or something. You know,
It's literally just I think it might be a 9mm round, or I didn't look closely enough.
it was pointy. It wasn't like smooth.
Oh, it might have been. It's probably a 7.62 then.
Odd. Doing what we do for like. Actually, watch the caliber. Actually,
Yeah. Now we're
Matt
Midwest of the
can't
worst.
get
I'm
his
like, oh
day.
shit,
Matt
what was the
can't get
caliber?
his day job out of his head. That's the problem.
No.
He can't.
Anyway, so there's a bullet inside a condenser mic, and
Yeah.
it goes off, and then there's a great blood splatter. onto a
That's an
map
allegory
behind him.
for us on these movies. There's a bullet in the condenser mic. That's
Yeah,
it.
I tell you what, mid Operation Delta Force 3, I was wishing there was a bullet inside this microphone just to finish me off.
You were looking at Sue being like, get the house Webley. Bring it.
Get
Do
the
me
mouse
in,
Webley.
please.
Yeah.
Or no, better is it
Um,
take it to Robbie's house and threaten him to not ever do this again.
So we're not doing alley tally, but I will say that there was at the very end of the film, there's a bunker sequence which is terrible. We've already talked about Captain Skip Lang's death, and there's a couple of others. But there's a US Army hazmat team that arrives, and one of them's armed with the film's only M16. But there's a sequence where two guys walk up some steps in a tunnel past the two surviving Delta Force team members,
Yeah.
and one's armed with a Gewehr 43.
It was cool.
Completely
Don't know
insane, but it was there. Oh, and there's a Bren Mark 2 at the beginning of the film,
why. Yeah.
like with a blank adapter.
Some,
And
some Bulgarian army would be like, do you want a Bren? I have Bren.
I have machine gun.
I have
You want
gun.
machine gun? You have machine gun. Yeah, everyone's running like jungle magged AKMSs.
Yeah.
No, like they've made no attempt to get them anything that looks remotely like something that Delta would have carried.
No. So I think that's Delta Force 4 rounded
Oh, and there's
up there.
larders as well. There's larders.
Oh, there is, yeah. So yeah, that and obviously Delta Force win, but
Oh,
there's
hang on. There's a bit where Skip puts a Molotov down the barrel of a T-72, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
And it explodes. That's not
That's
how
not-
Molotovs work.
No.
But
It
okay.
looked all right though.
It was a film.
It was one of the films of all
It was a
time.
film.
So going into Delta Force 4, we're thinking, what can they possibly do to end the franchise with Operation
On a
Delta
high.
Force 5 random fire? So I'll read you the IMDb plot little synopsis.
Oh, I should have done that for 4,
You
but
should have done
I
that.
think everyone gets it anyway. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
seismologist, nuclear weapons,
Seismologists.
Austin
Yeah.
Powers, you know.
So in this one came out in 2000. And it says an elite task force is assigned to handle a Middle Eastern terrorist mastermind who is using mind control techniques to create an army of willing suicide bombers.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Fucking awful. Carry on.
So that is the that's what wakes up the sleeper agent suicide bombers. That's the song.
It's
And they
like
have
someone
this.
watched The Manchurian Candidate and thought, "Oh, that's cool."
It's that, yeah. I want to do it to fans of Man United this year because they're having a bad season, and I want it to be like glory, glory, Man United, and all just screaming, looking at the table, being like, "We've not, you know, Rasmus Højlund hasn't scored, Onana's not a good keeper, I just want to do that."
Love to see it.
Little football there for everyone. Anyway, but it's all a bit madcap. So. The original squad isn't the original squad anymore.
No,
Todd
because
Jensen's
they're all
the
dead.
only-
Oh,
They're all
sorry. And
dead.
the most ludicrous part of 4 was they do like a 10,
21 gun
10
salute in a
yeah 10-round salute. They stand in a tunnel, in a bunker tunnel,
with
in a big
coffins.
in a concrete room, and there's coffins in front of them of the team, and then two of them, and one of them goes present, and they both present, and they go fire, and they both fire, and they do this for a solid like 40 seconds, and
Yeah,
put like
that's the end of the movie.
20 rounds into the ceiling.
It was
And
cringe.
you're thinking,
It's the most
Ricochet has
cringe
got to be a
scenes
thing in
I've
there,
ever
guys.
seen.
Like, be careful. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But-
sorry.
So
Back to
no, that's
Operation
fine.
Delta Force
No,
5.
That's absolutely fine because it proves that there's no more original members of Delta Force left that
No.
we know. So there's the only actor remaining is Todd Jensen, but he's playing someone completely different this time. I don't
He
even
is.
think he's playing Sparks or anyone like that.
No.
So he's just there, and they're doing this mission to. Oh, I don't. They're sort of.
There's a new American ambassador to Kenya traveling.
That's it. Yeah, and they
they're
get
supposed to
caught up.
rendezvous with him somewhere.
But the Middle Eastern terrorist springs his militia
Yeah.
on them to stop them.
For some reason, he's in Kenya, but yeah.
Yeah. So
My God, they've really like Al-Shabaab. They've predicted Al-Shabaab.
Yeah, they did. That's
Wild.
actually quite true. Yeah. So the Middle Eastern man sets his sleeper agent off in a airplane. A flying boat, and he blows up the train.
Yeah, there's a flying reporter that's like reporting live on the approach of the train, the
train,
the Western film train, that the ambassador's on,
which is the train from the first movie.
Definitely is. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then they have a big battle, as they always do in the start of these movies, because it's what they do. And it's the only time we see Delta Force actually, up against it. And they get absolutely pummeled. Like all these loads of this team you've never seen before, who have names like Dave and Brian, get killed.
And there's a lot of them too.
A lot of them. There's like 8 or 9 of them, and they all get systematically killed off, or you think they do. And then this guy called. Hang on, got his name up right here. Because I knew I'd forget. Brad Kennedy.
Oh yeah, he's the new captain.
The new captain, Brad Kennedy, played by Trey Thomas. He's like the main guy, but he's not the main guy. There's a guy called Skip Loomis, who is meant to be the new Skip Lang type character, but he's only in it for a brief moment. So after this battle, they have this big debrief saying, "Oh, why did you act the way you did? You didn't call in the relief helicopter as quickly as you should have. You let all these men die, blah, blah, blah."
We're Delta Force, we don't surrender.
We don't surrender.
So don't forget our motto. All for one and one for all.
One for all. Yeah, like the Musketeers. Weird. And then you've got a general who sounds like Foghorn Leghorn, which is really weird.
A cross between Foghorn Leghorn and Peter Weller.
Yeah. Delta Force are the best, goddamn. He's got that one.
He's got like 15 stars on him.
15-star general, super
He's
mega
America's
general.
only 15-star mega general.
Exactly, yeah. He outranks God, I think, at this point.
Yeah. MacArthur ain't got shit on him.
MacArthur really ain't. No. So, cut a long story short, they go back into Kenya to take out the big bad, the Middle Eastern terrorist called Jafari. So to take out the Middle Eastern terrorist mastermind called Jafari. But the big twist is that he's actually managed to capture the Delta Force members and turn them into the sleeper suicide bombers. So one blows up a big finance trade seminar in Boston, which is probably the most
pops an S vest on. Just saunters in. God
Yeah.
almighty.
Dressed like what Max Payne, if you've played that game.
Yeah.
He looks
Yeah.
like
He
him.
looks like a background character from the Matrix.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, like his plastic rain
It's
black
like
mac on.
midsummer in South Africa, and the man's wearing like a three-piece
No,
suit.
that was
and
shot in Boston. I've no.
No,
No, it was
no.
because this is established a shot of Boston, and he walks into Boston, and there's American signs everywhere. So that clearly was filmed in Boston. Clearly, right? That one shot of him walking across the road was right.
Yeah, I did actually check the cop cars at the bottom of that shot, and I was like, "Oh, they did actually get
They
some
did
Boston
actually
cars
say
written
Boston
up,
Police,
Boston
yeah.
Police on it." Yeah,
Yeah. So he blows
Fair
up
play.
that trade seminar, and that's
Well
actually
done,
quite
new
well
image.
done. Well done, new image. Yeah. And then the end mission is them going in to save Skip Loomis and everyone else from the big bad. But by this point, so the plot actually isn't that bad. I think it was it more stakes than usual. But
Could
because
have done with less singing.
I could have done a lot less
A
singing. There's
more
lot,
sensible trigger would have been
yeah,
better.
yeah,
Perhaps.
yeah. It might have been. It might have been. Well, the Star Spangled Banner might even work better.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just how it's delivered. It's a bit cringy,
yeah.
a bit sort of.
And why? Yeah.
It takes you out of the moment.
And then they introduced the Doctor at the very end, that's been doing
Yeah.
it all, and he's got no heft to him whatsoever.
No,
Because
but
all
it
we've
doesn't
seen
even.
is Jafar.
Yeah, it doesn't even set up how they're being brainwashed very well.
No.
Anyway, so to cut a long story short, by this point they win, kind of.
Yeah.
They don't really win because everyone's killed apart from.
Did you also
Kennedy.
notice that Jafar's compound looked like a petting zoo that had been emptied?
It's weird, right?
Because
But
there's
my-
one bit where they fight their way up what looks like a dry water fountain.
Yeah, it's weird.
And in the background, a guy climbs up onto what they try and make look like a guard tower, but it's quite
Yeah.
clearly part of a kid's playground.
It's bad. So by this point as well, I don't know if you noticed it, Matt. A lot of reusing of clear B-roll from
No.
1, 2, and 3.
No.
Did you
They
not
didn't,
notice?
Did they? No, I did.
Yeah, the Saracens are back with the weird cartel guys on it.
Yeah.
The tunnel sequences have the baddies from number 1.
Yeah.
The outside sequences have the baddies from number 3 in it when they're out in the open.
Yep.
And
There's that guy that's throwing barrels out of the helicopter again.
Yeah, and some explosion shots are reused from 3 and 2 as well.
Yeah. And don't forget the return of the BTR with the dunce hat.
Yeah, that
turret
shot
as well.
just rips off, and you get clear sequences of the Iraqi mission at the start of 2 when they're in the trenches.
Yeah, and I also think that there's a shot of the harbour insertion.
Yes, there is
when there's a
actually.
boat.
You're darn right there. Yeah, and it's
as
just
well.
I think it just shows how generic
Operation
movies
Delta
are.
Force 5 compilation harder.
Random
Like the
scenes
greatest
and a
hits.
random fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Random edit. So I think it just shows by this point they clearly just ran out of ideas or money or both.
There's some incredible acting though. Let's not forget that. There's in the opening sequence, there's that bit where one of the unknown random Delta Force guys loses it completely, and he starts shouting at a window, "Stop it! Stop it!
Stop it!" Yeah.
And then he's shot. What a surprise! He's like the blonde dude from Waterloo of the Operation Delta Force 5 franchise.
He really is. So at this point, though, and I think I say it again, if they'd been the same actors, and that you've been killing them off this easily, I might have cared.
Yeah.
And then to bring them back as the suicide bombers might have been more of a twist.
Maybe.
Like if it had been Jeff Fahey all the way through, if it had been Todd Jensen playing Sparks all the way through, then I at least would have some hat in the ring of being like, oh, well, as I said, it's my Expendables thing. The same actors have been playing the same characters. When something happens to them, there is a little bit of something there.
It's a shame there's no dub in this one though, because there's a guy that shouts "motherfucker" like 4 times.
Yeah, there's a lot of swears in this one. I've noticed.
I would have loved to have seen him charge out that door shouting "motherfudgers."
Would have been good. It would have been funny. Motherforkers, rah! And there was no horse's rectum this week.
No, there wasn't, and we were saddened to find that Ian Newell delivered that fabulous line.
He did. He did.
We found out afterwards.
was
We realized
amazing.
afterwards. We found out who Ian Yule played, and it was that
Yeah.
guy that said that. And we were
God, and on that note,
no. We're not done yet.
God bless Ian Yule.
We haven't even talked about what has to be the most flat and dull helicopter combat sequence I've ever seen.
Jesus, Matt. Yeah, no, it was. You are right. It was just so static, and careful, he nearly got us when
Like this big helicopter, big black ominous helicopter,
another MI8.
Yeah, and all it's doing, it's got multiple missiles attached to it and guns, and then all it does is they keep cutting to this same guy firing an RPD out the
door,
side door. And they're like going, he's at 10 o'clock. No, he's at 5 o'clock. Oh my God, where's he? And I can't
he's
see him.
everywhere.
It's a giant fucking black helicopter.
It's a massive
You can't miss
MI8.
him.
They don't shift like that, you know.
But that scene just goes on, and it's terrible.
Yeah,
but it's still
it does.
not. Honestly my favorite sequence from the entire film. And I was watching it just before Rob watched it, and I sent him a spoiler clip of it when I was watching. And there's the attempt to insert a subplot, like a love subplot for.
We'll finish on this because it is funny.
For Kennedy, I think the new captain, and some sergeant that's a computer analyst. She has like a little like badge that says computer section on it, and then on the other side she's all American airborne.
MS-DOS division. Yeah.
Keyboard warrior.
Apple 2.0 division.
Yeah. She's cracking at Snake. And there's a sequence where she comes to tell him that the terrorists have members of his team as sleeper agents. And she says, I'm coming on the mission with you to provide her computer expertise, which she doesn't eventually for some reason. I don't know. And he's like, you're a woman. And you sat there going, oh, damn, that's rather sexist of you, Kennedy.
All right, mate.
And he goes, you're my woman. And then it cuts to a very close shot, very close, like just a very tight headshot. And it's supposed to be a romantic moment, but the way he's holding her neck with both hands,
it's so clunky.
It's so weird.
It's clunky.
You watch it and it's surreal.
Ooh, it's possessive.
It looks like he's holding her head up.
Yeah, I did not like that one bit.
Like a football or something, and it's like round her.
No. No.
It's so bad.
It's just bad.
So bad. The only good part of that film is actually everyone seems to have an Armson OEG optic on their grill.
For the layman's out there, that's the scope from the D11 blaster from Star Wars, the ones the Rebels
the
occluded
from the original trilogy.
Yeah, that's what I said to Matt in the chat, and I stand by it, Matt. People will know it more as that than that whatever one you just said it was.
whatever one it was. It was the D11 sight.
Whatever far off the story, people know Star Wars more.
But yeah, it was a god awful film. Terrible end to the franchise. I'm shocked they haven't made a 6.
Maybe we should buy the rights
off the back of it. Honestly, I'm still going to push for a complete remaster and steelbook release of the entire franchise.
That'd be amazing. Maybe we need to get the Leicester Square Theatre in London to do a lock-in.
Oh yeah. No, you can't leave at gunpoint. It would have to be the real bombshell of the Operation Delta Force 5 train wreck.
I'm prepared.
2.6 million people have watched it on YouTube.
I can't believe that. That's insane.
It's been uploaded onto the channel that it's on, I think legally.
When this episode comes out, please drop it in the comments. There's fans, they need to hear our thoughts.
It was uploaded 10 months ago.
That's amazing.
And it has been watched 2.6 million times.
That's amazing. You could quadruple the amount of views my channel's got.
Who in the name of God are the 2.6 million people who watch that?
The brave souls who do not want to pay for streaming services.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, none of the other Operation Delta Force movies have anything approaching. I think the first movie has like 800,000.
Yeah. That's the YouTube algorithm in play for you there.
Truly. And the comments on it are wild. The comments, Like this was a thank you for uploading this. This was a robust film. With
A
one comment.
robust. There we go. And we're going to end on that. It was a robust film. We're going to end on that. So
We've almost killed Fighting on Film with
well
this.
done,
with
everyone.
this
Fighting on
theme
Film
month.
has been maimed. It's been shot. It's been chained to a radiator for the last month. But by God, we love it.
Captain Kennedy's held it in his hands
exactly
in a creepy way.
There is a lot going on behind the scenes at Fighting on Film for 2024 for you all to enjoy. Please check the socials. There'll be some announcement coming up very soon that we hope you're going to enjoy. We're going to take a couple of weeks off now from regular programming. We'll be back in the middle of January, I think, because Matt's going away to Las Vegas on business, as he does every January. So we'll do some shows, get some shows out for you around that time in January for you.
You won't even know I'm gone.
You won't even know Matt's gone. No, exactly. That's the brilliance of scheduling. So do bear with us. We'll keep the Twitter running, all the socials running. You'll never know. For the love of God,
don't watch any of the Operation Delta Force movies except the first one. Don't do what we've done. Friends don't let friends watch Operation Delta Force 2 through 5.
Just say no. Someone said you want to bunk off school and watch Operation Delta Force. Just say no. Where's Gamo when you need him? Come on. I need that edit. Right. I think that's an amazing way to end the show for 2023. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
Deeply, deeply appreciate it more than you'll ever know here at FOF to know that people are still listening, still enjoying what we do.
I'm going to emphasize one last time that we have some great stuff coming in January.
We really do. We really do. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great new year and keep your eyes on FOF for the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. Signing off for 2023.
Happy New Year. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Just say no.